What's going on, everyone? It's Aaliyah Orozco with the main event, and I'm joined today with a very special guest, the one and only professional boxer, Evan Holyfield. Evan, it's been a minute since I've even said that. I think was the last time I interviewed you, like when we first did the interview, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm probably like, nah, I think it's probably been longer than that. It's probably been like 3 years maybe by now.
That's crazy, y'all. His Cow Palace fight, the start of it all. Well, let's start there. How are you just with everything, your life, your surgery, your health, and you getting back into the ring and everything?
Everything's been good. It's been a steady process, getting back up on my feet, but I'm glad to be at the point where I'm at now to start getting ready to get back into the action of things and get back into the swing of things.
Does it feel a lot different for you like this time around? Do you have some like more added motivation?
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I feel it's different this time around. I have more motivation, more. I feel like I have more stuff to prove. I feel like a lot of people have written me off and almost have forgotten, but that's that's what just comes with it. And I'm
Mhm.
okay with that, and I'm willing to show people what all I have to show, and it's a new heart, so it's a new me. So
Mm.
I feel like I have way more to prove, and you're gonna see a different version of me that y'all haven't had the chance to see yet.
That part, y'all, a new heart. That's amazing. Well, when do you think we could expect to see you in the ring? Like more at the end of this year? Is it looking like next year, or there's not really like a timeline in place yet?
This summer, you'll see me this summer for sure. Right
Okay.
now, I'm in the middle of camp in Chicago right now, and we're getting ready to show you guys something. So just stay tuned, and you'll see me soon enough on the screen.
Okay, wait. Is there a fight date announced and is their opponent already picked? Or you just know? Okay.
I'm keeping everything to my manager and stuff like that. But we have a plan. We have a plan, and by the end of the summer, I should have at least 4 fights, and at least one should be televised or two. So
Wow, okay, you're going all the way back in. That is really exciting. We will definitely be staying tuned for that and following your Instagram and stuff to see fight dates and opponents and all of that. But I wanted to have you on today because there's been obviously a lot going on in this sport and tons to talk about. So today's kind of a little fun pre-fight show ahead of some upcoming fights this summer and then just kind of some things we just saw recently. So first, let's start there. What has been your favorite fight thus far in 2025? Like fight of the year so far.
I gotta say, my fight of the year thus far has to be the Eubank Jr. versus the Ben. I feel like that was a great fight. It was perfectly how they presented it and the whole build up and everything. And most of the time you can build a fight as great as it can be, but it's always up to the last two fighters to make the fight happen, to make it to perform to how great you presented it. And I just love how they did it, and it was really dramatic and all drama all the way through. So I'm excited to see the rematch if they do it.
Did you have Eubank winning going into it, or what were your predictions before the fight?
I've kind of had I kind of had Eubank winning going into it because although the weight class was definitely going to be something to was definitely going to be a hurdle to get over, but I felt like Eubank's resume was there, and then also in the through the forthcoming through the presentation and stuff like that, where they're doing the press conference build up, it totally was apparent that Eubank was in control of everything that that he was doing. You know what I mean? He never let himself get flustered or bent out of shape, and he was always manipulating Ben the way he wanted the way he wanted to.
Hmm. And what do you think Connor Ben would have to do to get that win over Eubank in that rematch if we saw it?
Man, I just feel like he just needs to. He had a good game plan coming through, but I feel like there's a lot of things that come into play. Like, is the weight class still going to be a thing coming into this fight? Because I feel like if there's no weight class this time, I feel like the fight will be more so leading towards Eubank for real this time. But he did a lot of good things early. I just feel like he should have stepped on the gas and possibly went down to the body a little bit more in the beginning of the fight, and I feel like that probably would have paid him more dividends towards the stretch. So,
Mhm.
but again, it was still a really close fight. You couldn't have been too upset if it would have went either way.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And we have a fight quickly approaching on May 31st. You know, the Kayla Plant versus Jermall Charlo card. They're not fighting, y'all. It's and. But
Yeah,
I think the fans really want to see that fight of them two. So yeah, just overall, what do you think of the card? Plant versus Resendez and Charlo versus Lamana. Is that how you say it? Thomas Lamana.
yeah, I
Yes.
think it's Thomas Lamana, Mr. Cornflake.
Mr. Cornflake. Okay,
That's
tell us.
that's his name. That's his nickname. I'm not trying to be like oh yeah, he's a cornflake. No, that's actually his ring name, Cornflake.
No, okay, wait. Do you know why? Like, do you know him
I,
well?
I don't know him. That's just
Well, you need to
that's
know
just
about the
Thomas
cornflake.
Cornflake Lamana. I'm like, whoa, what a name.
Yeah, no, for real. Wait, do you have a name yet?
Young Holy, as always.
Okay, wait. Okay, I did know that actually. Okay, young holding on. So yeah, what do you think about this fight, May 31st? Just the whole entire card and just your thoughts on it.
I feel like it's going to be a pretty good card. I feel like in this instance, I'm actually glad how they're taking a page out of or not even a page, but they seen what can happen if you focus on the next fight before what happens to the next fight. Before what I mean, you can't look too far for it. And I've heard Caleb Plant and Charlo both mention that they're not looking past their fight and they're trying to deal with this fight first. And I feel like that's the most proper thing to do because obviously sometimes if you know what I mean, skip a step, sometimes things can go for a misturn. But I feel like the main thing about this fight is I feel like Caleb Plant he's been fairly consistent in his past couple fights. So I feel like we already know what we're going to see from him. But I feel like the bigger question mark or the bigger spectacle to see is really how Charlo's going to come off of this layoff, and and hopefully we get to see that fight happen because the drama between the Plant and the Charlos has always been a fight that we've always been looking forward to see.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, I remember. I'm pretty sure it was Jamal that slapped Caleb, right? It wasn't his brother. Um,
No, it was Caleb that smacked Jermall.
oh, okay. Wait, okay, that was my question, but I mixed the two up. I was more asking it was Jermall, not Jermel. It was Jermall because I was like, I feel like they really don't like each other.
But I honestly really can't tell you. Like as much as I am into boxing, I do honestly get male and mall mixed up oftentimes. You know what I mean? Unless I see them like right next to each other, like because you could definitely
Yeah,
tell them apart personality wise when you see them in the same room. But sometimes it kind of get confusing to see. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know.
But that slap went way back of obviously Caleb slapped Jamal. So there's already some type of feud there. Because I even saw at the press conference, they kind of like put them on both sides since there's like some type of feud. So I think that fight would be such a great fight. Like you said, of course they can't overlook their current opponents. But if we do see that fight later on this year, how do you see that going?
And that's a great fight because they say styles make fights. I feel like Caleb Plant is a great boxer and he does what he does best. You know what I mean? Boxes. And when he fought McCumbee, he even showed some shades of grit. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to get down and dirty when he needs to. And Mel, he's always just been a great fighter as is. Always just been the type of person that's just walk through the fire and try to get the job done. So that's one of those fights where you'd be like, when they ask you who's gonna win, I take this page out of my dad's book. My dad would be like, "Well, that's why I'm here to watch the fight.
Oh my
Just
God,
gotta watch
no.
it."
No, no, no. Wait, that's actually such a good answer. That's such a funny answer. Somebody just told me an interview a second ago. They're like, I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm like, no, you guys come up with all these random answers to not pick who you think. But I
But
did the
no,
same.
but that's originally like why you want to watch the fight though, because like if you really necessarily knew how it was gonna go, you know what I mean. That's nothing to necessarily
Well,
tune into.
obviously.
But like but they're both really great fighters. You know what I mean? And at the stage at the where they're at in their career, it doesn't make sense for them to go against each other because you know what I mean. This is what we've been looking for their whole careers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it would be really close either way. Like you really don't know, like obviously how they come in that night and their personal life and the way they train. So there's like so many factors when obviously they're that high of a caliber fighter to
Yeah,
be
and
able.
everybody has a puncher's chance at that weight.
Yeah. And okay, we're going to throw it back a little even more, but still very recently. Obviously, that Fatal Fury card, everybody's has a lot of thoughts on it and they're still kind of talking about it. But just what do you think overall? I know the fans thought the card overall was kind of underwhelming. What do you think about that and your perspective watching it?
I mean, yeah, the fight. I feel like the card definitely was kind of underwhelming, especially with the names and stuff like that. But also, which you gotta kind of to pay tribute to is for one, Ryan Garcia. He's been out the ring for longer than a year. You know, so of course he's gonna have some dots to connect and stuff like that. And same thing with Devin Haney. He's been out the ring for longer than a year, and he had something catastrophic happen to him, something unfamiliar to happen. So you know what I mean. He definitely has some hurdles to get over. So and also I just believe part of it is matchmaking too, possibly. But you know, more power to them. I'm glad everybody got paid. Everybody got paid their money and stuff like that. But I just honestly feel like he probably just needed a tune-up fight in between before stepping up on the stage like that. And I also believe the environment kind of played a role to it too. Like, not saying that fighting in Times Square wasn't cool or anything for them, but you know, some of the fighters actually feed off of the atmosphere and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And the atmosphere, I'm not sure what the atmosphere was like, but I guess it didn't pan out for some of the other people. You know what I mean? So it's a whole lot of elements that go into it and stuff. But I feel like out of the whole cartel, Fimo Lopez, he had a great fight.
Hmm.
He's that's why I like Teofimo. He's more so consistent to himself, more so than others. You know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily need outside forces to even the playing field. But as far as Ryan Garcia, I feel like he should have took a tune-up fight because honestly, I believe he might have had one of the most challenging bouts on the card because not taking anything away from Rolly or saying that he's not a high level fighter, but he's definitely an awkward fighter to come across for your first time back within a year and stuff like that. And the game plan I believe Rolly used for that fight was incredibly intelligent. He slowed down the pace to such a point to where Ryan Garcia couldn't get anything flowing because Ryan Garcia is such a reactionary fighter to where you know what I mean. The more faster the fight goes, pretty much like it goes to his pace because he's so quick and stuff like that. And that's normally when you'll get caught trying to mix it up with him. But Rolly slowed it down to a pace to where it was just a simple boxing match. And obviously, Rolly caught Ryan early, and it seemed like Ryan didn't want to open up after that. He probably felt that power. So that was a good thing for him. And then as far as Devin Haney, he had a pretty good fight, I guess, game wise, because you know what I mean. By all means, getting away with the win is always a great thing. Get it by any means and stuff like that. And with the person who he had in front of him, Jose Ramirez, his feet were a little bit slow, and he was a little bit slow to pull the trigger, and that's just worked out perfectly for Devin to be able to move around and hit him with shots and keep moving. But of course, it's not something that we all like to see. We all want to see the old Devin engage a little bit more and with a little bit more confidence. But again, this is his first fight back off of a loss, but he got the win, so we get to see more of him, or you know what I mean, so to say.
Yeah, on that note, kind of, this fight obviously was to, in the long run, see the Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney fight. Do you think we're still going to get that at the end of the year? And if so, how do you see that fight going now that we just saw both of their performances after the year layoff?
I believe we still get that fight because believe I read somewhere that they're still gonna have the rematch or whatever. Um, Honestly, I could possibly see it going the same way. Maybe not Devin getting dropped as many times or getting hurt or nothing like that, but I could see Ryan winning making it a fight and possibly winning it that way because it's just like it's nothing more it's nothing like fighting somebody that you already know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole, yeah, seen that.
Hold on. I'll do my phone.
Okay.
Okay, it's fine.
But it's nothing like fighting somebody who you already know or you've already been in the ring with a couple times. Because I believe they fought a couple times as amateurs, and then they definitely even the score as pros. You know what I mean? So all that goes into account with the confidence and the familiarity. So I feel like it'll be a good fight going into it, and I just honestly just feel Ryan Garcia just has no respect for Devin Haney, and and I feel like that's just how the fight will pan out. You know,
What do you mean, like he has no respect for him? Of like, I guess in what way are you saying? Like, so the fight's gonna? I don't know. Just tell me more what you mean by
like
that.
he has no respect for Devin Haney in the way of if there's a line to be crossed within the boxing ring, he's not going to be cautious about. Oh yeah, should I go past this line? Will I get hurt? Will he make me pay for crossing this line or whatever? I don't think it's. I think it won't be that. I think he's just gonna go in there and do what he feels like he does best.
Yeah. And we have to talk about, which is crazy because I feel like the last time I interviewed you, it was about the Spence versus Crawford fight, and you told me about the headlock that Bud put you in. But now Bud's about to be in another big fight. Canelo versus Crawford could be happening September 13th, 14th. Just what do you think about that? That would be like such a great fight. And just what would be, I guess, the breakdown for you of how that matchup would go?
I think that's a good fight to be had. A lot of people say that Terrence shouldn't be going up, but I believe he's just daring to be great. And sometimes when people dare to be great, tend to see things that you don't fathom seeing. So I'm going for Bud. I believe Bud can has the tools to get the job done. Because as we've seen Canelo fight we seen Canelo fight probably like a couple weeks ago versus I forgot who he
Skull.
went against.
Skull.
Yeah, Skull. And Skull hopped on his bike. He got moving. But the main question for me, the main question for me that still hasn't been answered for the past decade is we done seen probably like 3 or 4 people move on this man Canelo, and he still has not figured out how to cut off the ring. When he went against Erislandy Laura, I forgot how long ago that was, but I believe he almost lost that fight or he did lose that fight. And it was all based on the pretense of he could not cut off the ring, and Erislandy Laura was simply outboxing him. You know what I mean? Skull tried to pull the same page out of his book, but he didn't. He just simply sit there and throw enough punches or try to engage enough. You know what I mean to actually make it a fight. But as you can see, Canelo only landed maybe like he only landed like 16 headshots or something like that, something crazy. And I forgot what the body shot count was, but obviously he won. He won on that. But you can't you can't believe you can stand on that hill by barely winning fights off of that pretense. What if somebody else gets in there and they're actually skillful enough to, or not even skillful enough, but they're not scared of you. You know what I mean? Not saying Skull was scared. Erislandy Laura wasn't scared. Erislandy Laura was fighting him, and I believe he almost won that fight, or he pretty much did, or you know what I mean? It was really 50-50 fight. But Skull, I believe he was scared, and you can't give a fight to somebody running away. So obviously they gave it to Canelo. But I believe if Terrence takes a couple pages out of those people's books and adds a couple of his flavor to it, I believe he can get that job done. Because right now, Canelo's just not. I'm not saying he's falling off, but he definitely needs to correct cutting off the ring. If he doesn't correct that cutting off the ring, then I don't know what he'll be able to do with a smaller fighter that's going to be moving with respectable power.
Do you think, on that note, then, that Benavidez would be able to do that in the ring with Canelo? Or why do you think that fight is kind of being avoided in some way? I know it was been kind of money talks, but yeah, how do you think that would be too? And do you think that would ever even happen?
I believe I'm a big Canelo fan, and as much I would want to say as I would like to say, there's a lot of shades that go to that fight, but I kind of do see Benavidez winning that because for one, as we all know, time is always the teller. You know what I mean? Canelo's been pro for a decade, maybe. I don't know how long he's been pro for. He's been pro for a long time. You know what I mean? And Benavidez is a young lion, hungry, coming up, ready to fight. And obviously, his gas tank is, you know what I mean, unlimited. So it seems we haven't seen David Benavidez tired yet. And the main thing or the main contrast I see between the two of them fighting is Benavidez' punch count is so high, and Canelo is so used to not throwing that many punches, and I believe that will drown out all of what Canelo has. You know what I mean? But Canelo definitely does have good, respectable power, and that's always his mo. You know what I mean? You miss, he's probably going to make you pay. But when somebody's throwing so many punches and is not really caring about taking a punch to give three or four back to you, and it's more so about, you know what I mean? It's going to force Canelo to raise up his game. I feel like when Canelo fought Triple G those first two times, I feel like we got that part out of him. You know what I mean? But I feel like at the stage where he's at in his career, he's just not looking to push himself to that range anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody ain't blaming him because he really doesn't necessarily have to. You know?
Mm-hmm. Will you and your dad be coming out for the Canelo Crawford fight?
I'm sure my dad will, but knowing me, I'll probably be somewhere training. You know what I mean?
You're already like, I don't even know my plans for September, but I won't be there.
I'll
That
probably tune in though for sure though.
Yeah, that will be like a good one to watch for sure. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today and talking about all these exciting matchups we just had and are about to have. We will definitely have an interview again once you have your fight day announced, everybody. So stay tuned for that. And any last words for all the fight fans watching? Anything you want to share with them?
Yeah, God bless y'all. Be up and hey, stay tuned. Y'all see me later. You know what I mean? Not later, but soon. You know, and when y'all see me, don't be surprised.